She has a way of helping people believe. Chiefs of Security at Taft Museum, John Ring, can still recall the moment he cast skepticism aside and began to believe. He told his story to Derek Quettle of the newspaper The Downtowner in October 2001. Ring's moment of epiphany was in the late 1970s. He was watching over a chamber music concert when he was approached by several guests, each with the same complaint. They were distracted by the sound of a crying baby just in the background, somewhere outside the music room. Ring set off to investigate, but even after an exhaustive search of the building's other rooms and hallways, no baby was ever found. In fact, after questioning other employees about the incident, Ring learned that a baby hadn't even been in the building that day. He remembered that when he first began his job, he had been regaled with eerie stories by other security officers, stories of strange cries and footsteps in empty places. But it wasn't until she entered the picture that Ring understood fully what he'd been told. As he was walking down the long hallway just outside the concert room, Ring heard footsteps behind him, and then his name called out in a woman's voice. He turned around to respond, but there was nothing there. She had called out to him, and he was converted. Annie had shown him the possibilities, and now every time Ring passes by her portrait in the music room, he is careful to wish Mrs. Taft a good morning. Annie Taft died in 1931, and her home and its collection of art, so lovingly and painstakingly created over many years with her husband, passed to the people of Cincinnati. The house, built by merchant Martin Baum in 1820, now stands as the Taft Museum, and the Taft's collection of European paintings and Chinese porcelains are displayed in it. Baum constructed the large federal-style house on a lot on the eastern edge of Cincinnati, but didn't live there long, as the bank panic of 1820 devastated him financially, and he was forced to move. The grand building was then used as an all-girls school until 1829, when it was bought by one of Cincinnati's wealthiest citizens, Nicholas Longworth. A patron of the arts, Longworth commissioned artist Robert Scott Duncanson to paint 8 murals on the house's walls, works that launched Duncanson's career and established a legacy of art support within the home that continued when David Sinton bought the home in 1871. While the murals are now seen as trademarks of the Taft home, the Tafts themselves never saw them. It wasn't until the home was being transformed into a museum that layers and layers of wallpaper were stripped away to reveal the stunning river and landscape scenes. Sinton lived in the home with his daughter Anna and her husband Charles Phelps Taft, the older half-brother of former President William Howard Taft and publisher of the Cincinnati Times-Star. The two were married in the upstairs music room in 1873, and when Anna's father died in 1890, her inheritance made her the richest woman in Ohio, a position allowing her and husband to pursue their love of the arts. Between 1902 and 1927, the two amassed what Jane Durrell called, on the 60th anniversary of the Taft Museum, a coherent and harmonious collection, a first-class collection of art. Charles passed away in 1929 and Anna in 1931. The house, along with its art collection, was willed to the city of Cincinnati. In death, the Tafts had established a means of passing on to generations the same pleasure they felt when they walked through their home, gazing upon their collected works of art. But it seems, too, that the Tafts themselves might also be enjoying their home and their life's works even after death. Staff maintain that there is a number of spirits roaming the halls of the Taft Museum. History has had time to foster the development of a number of spirits. David Sinton, his daughter, and her husband all died in the home. It is the daughter Anna who is undoubtedly the best known spirit. She is said to be a friendly, if mischievous spirit, fond of interacting with staff and patrons. Owen Finzen, a reporter of the Cincinnati Enquirer, recorded an account by Chief of Security Ring on Halloween in 1995. Ring indicated that he was working in the garden when he noticed two ladies leaving the Taft Museum in a bit of a hurry. Apparently, the two ladies, mother and daughter, had been in the parlor looking at a painting. The mother claimed that someone had tapped on her shoulder, only when she turned, no one was there. The two decided to leave the place quickly. Anna's overtures were not accepted at that time. Another time, Anna appeared to a girl waiting for her boyfriend, a security guard at the museum, to come to the car. The girl waved at the figure standing at a second floor window, thinking it was her boyfriend. The figure did not wave back. When the boyfriend finally finished his shift and got into the girl's car, she asked him why he hadn't waved back at her. He claimed that he'd been in the basement and had not been upstairs at all. The second floor had been locked down, and any movement there would have set off motion sensors. In the gift shop, books will fall off shelves, only to land, every time, 5 feet away, face up. In a downstairs office with only one entrance, employees will return only to find that someone or something has wedged a chair underneath the doorknob. Not outside, but inside the office. One time, several stacks of heavy books were placed in front of the door after it was locked. When morning came and people returned to work, they cleared away the books, only to find that their attempt to thwart the supernatural had failed. Upstairs, the attic has many unexplained cold spots, and more than one worker has reportedly feeling that someone was blocking his or her way into the attic hallway. Who is responsible for all these events isn't exactly clear. It may be Anna or any of the other spirits in the Taft Museum. There are times, of course, when there can be no debate. Even in death, Anna has not lost her passion for the artistic creation of man. Finson recounted an afternoon when Anna herself made an appearance in spirit form. Katie Lauer was in the garden playing country music when a gift shop customer, Trevor Lambing, noticed that a security camera at the back of the museum seemed to be malfunctioning. Instead of panning across the grounds as it was supposed to do, the camera was pointed straight down at the ground. Lamming went over to make a report to a security guard on the duty at the time, but when she reached the guard, Lamming noticed that she was staring up at the balcony. So she looked up, and there on the balcony was the figure of a woman in a long pink gown, her feet tapping to the beat of the music. The way she looked and the fact that there is no door to the balcony convinced the onlookers that she was the spirit of Anna, taking time to enjoy the music and the sweet perfumed air of the garden. Anna is such a presence here that Ring makes sure that all new employees meet and greet her portrait. This sort of initiation happened to Tamara Mointe when she started working at the Taft Museum in late 2001. Despite the introduction, Muente, months later, is still waiting patiently to meet Annie. She may have to wait a while. The museum is currently closed, undergoing major renovations. The changes may very well drive away the spirit, but one should hope that Anna stays, for she is perhaps the most valuable specimen in a house full of priceless objects.